this is arguably the most serious overnight rain we've seen since 3 years ago when we had that horrible night in Queens, where we lost so many in basements, and large part of that was heavy rain overnight. This may be the most serious instance of that since 3 years ago. I'm wondering how well you have the basements at risk identified at this point, and at what point you push an alert that says, get out.
Yeah, Zach, you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. So appreciate your question. On the first question, I actually have met Governor Tim Walz. I want to reflect that for the record. A couple of years ago, he reached out to me to talk about veterans' mental health when he was the ranking member of the Veterans Affairs Committee. As a private citizen, I'll just tell you, he's a wonderful guy. He was interested in bipartisan solutions. He's kind. His staff was aces. He's a great guy, and he's really it's a great choice. In terms of the weather tonight, thank you for bringing this up. New Yorkers need to be taking this seriously. First off, we have a mayor who one of the first conversations I had with him was how we could replicate some of the multi-channel techniques he used on the campaign trail to make sure that we're reaching all New Yorkers. And so, we talk a lot about Notify NYC, but because of the mayor's leadership and his emphasis and his knowledge of how to reach people, we have a pretty expansive portfolio of ways that we reach people. We work with community-based organizations. We have a AWS system that reaches out to over 2,000 community-based partners that serve people with disabilities, functional needs, dialysis centers, older adult centers. We're doing a lot. We have drones out today that are going to be messaging in certain neighborhoods as well in multiple languages, letting people know that this is something that people need to take very seriously and notifying the public that there is significant weather coming into New York City. One of the problems we have with rain, as opposed to coastal flooding, is it is very hard to know where the rain is going to fall. So we know that there are areas that are more high risk for flooding. You don't know if those areas are going to get rain, unlike coastal flooding where you know and can model when that water comes into Jamaica Bay, New York Harbor, where that water is going to go, what areas you need to focus on. We can't really do that with rainfall. Right now, we know the target is the tri-state area, and we are expecting very significant rainfall here in New York City. I will tell you that we've got life safety folks all over the city, FDNY with high axle vehicles. We've got NYPD out. We've deployed the tow truck task force around the city to remove vehicles. We've done all of the messaging that I've talked about. DEP has been out there with our other infrastructure partners like sanitation, clearing catch basins, working closely with the MTA. A lot of work has been going into preparing the city over the last 24 hours for this event. We're taking it very, very seriously, but so should New Yorkers.
And Commissioner, just to be clear, so we did press releases, text messaging, the drones are out there, social media across all city agencies. You were out doing interviews.
We've messaged all electeds to share with their constituents, with community-based organizations, all of the above. Yeah.
On the basements in particular, because I think that's the very serious life and death concern, do you have teams prepared, staged to go, be they FDNY or police or whoever, to go door to door if you're seeing something really bad, let's say in Corona, Queens, like we saw a couple of years ago?
So the problem with these weather events is you have very little notice when the rain starts to falling, right? We know that the city is in the target right now, the tri-state area. We're looking at, you have about maybe an hour's notice of what areas are going to get hit very hard. One of the first things that will happen, and we were talking to the National Weather Service just an hour about this, is they would likely issue a wireless emergency alert. That's when your phone buzzes. So they will do that in the areas that a cell stalls over that is going to experience high amounts of rain. And then if necessary, yes, we would deploy folks there. But people need to have a plan for today about where they're going to go, higher ground, and then as the weather changes, as they're listening to the forecast, then executing that plan if needed.
And the big thing is what happened. I remember several years ago with the former mayor, as we went out to those locations where the flooding took place. We live in a bubble, and we have to meet people where they are in notifications so they can be prepared. And that is what we've done under the commissioner. He has used alternate methods of notifying people. And we, on a phone call this morning, the potentiality of using drones with loudspeakers going in those areas or where we know historically we've had flooding problems. So it's about notifying. Yes, we're going to have a large number of New Yorkers that's going to sign up for Notify NYC, but there's a large number that won't, and not everyone gets their information from social media. Some people don't speak English. So we must meet New Yorkers where they are. And that's what Zach has been able to do, come up with this real portfolio of how do we reach as many New Yorkers as possible, and particularly in those areas where we have a problem.
Yeah, Mayor, it was, I thought it was really creative. I started getting for approval messages not only in English but in multiple languages for the drones in those historically flooded neighborhoods to broadcast over. So that includes like the ones with the basement apartments and stuff like that.
I do want to mention DEP is doing a series of flood package giveaways. So that'll include a sump pump, flood barriers, flood sensors. It's about $300 worth of flood protection equipment. The borough presidents have all been given packages so they can also give them out to constituents, and those are ongoing right now.
Weeks ago, where were you? Thank you very much.
You're right. Chris?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, a couple of questions on the